Hi everyone, this video is all about improving your posture. First of all, we're going to look at the whole body and looking at what optimal posture is and to identify what areas that could be improved. And then we're going to go through a few strengthening and stretching exercises for our upper body posture in relation to that upper cross syndrome. So for the first part, we need a wall. So I'm going to be turning the sign on so you can see my posture. First of all, just come out away from the wall, and you want to make sure, so going from bottom to top, these are the key areas of what optimal posture should be. So first of all, have your feet flat and weight evenly distributed between the 2 feet. And with our feet, we want our weight through 3 points in each foot. So think of it as kind of a tripod. So the first point is at your big toe and just below it. The second point is the other side of the foot near your little toe and then your heel. So you want to make sure that you've got even weight between those 3 points. If we travel up, we want to make sure that our knees aren't locked out like this, but have a slight bend in your knee. This way, all of your body weight above your knee isn't going through the joint, and that your muscles are active. So it's taking the pressure off your knees. Coming further up at our hips, we want to assume a neutral pelvis. So thinking about our pelvis as like a bucket, we can tilt it forward like so, and we can also tilt it back like so. So neutral pelvis is when the bucket is level so that the water doesn't spill out. So you might need to do a few tilts forward and backward to try and identify your neutral pelvis. After that, coming further up into your spine, you want to make sure that your spine maintains its natural curves and that it's lengthened, so you're not kind of slouching like this. Imagine you're a stringed puppet and that string is pulling you up towards the ceiling, so nice and tall. And usually that will help with your hips as well as coming further up into your shoulder area. So speaking of shoulders, our shoulders want to make sure that they relax down away from your ears, but also back, so our shoulder blades are flush up against our rib cage. A good way of doing that is to make sure our palms are facing forward. So usually when you're walking, you're not going to be doing that, you're going to have them down like this, but that's just a good way of making sure our shoulders are back and our chest is broad. Finally, with our neck, we want to assume that neutral neck posture, which is where our ear is in line with our shoulder rather than forward. So to do so, you want to try and tuck that chin back and in to assume that posture. Now, with the wall, this will help to make sure that you are assuming all of those aspects. So you're going to place your feet hip-width apart, and if you do assume that optimal posture, there are different parts of your body that would be in contact with the wall. One is that your shoulder blades are flat, the back of kind of the base of your skull is in contact, and your bottom. So here, just take a few breaths in and out. In and out. Okay, we're going to now move on to some strengthening and stretch exercises for our upper body in relation to that upper cross syndrome. So just a quick recap on that syndrome. Basically, our chin starts to protrude forward and our shoulders are rounded. And so the muscles that are tight and overactive are your chest muscles and the muscles at the back of your neck. So you want to stretch those ones out. The muscles that are underactive and long are these front flexors here, as well as through your rear shoulder, and we want to strengthen those. So first of all, we're going to do the strengthening exercises for our front of our neck and our rear shoulder. So grabbing a rolled up towel or a cushion, what you're going to do is you're going to roll it up, come a little bit closer. You're going to be using a wall and placing the towel at the base of your skull, between you and the wall, like so. Now for this one, we're going to be strengthening the front of our neck, and what you'd want to do is try and push your neck into the towel, push your head into the towel, and trying to make a double chin. Holding 3, 2, 1, and relax. Have a little rest, and then we're going to go again, pushing in, double chin, and 3, 2, 1, and relax. So usually you do 10 reps of these, having a rest, and then another set, holding each for about 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, so the next exercise is now going to be strengthening the rear shoulder muscles, and it's called a W, and that refers to the shape that your arms are going to assume. So we're going to do this up against the wall. You can have your feet a little bit out from the wall. These are slightly bent, and you want to try and achieve that shoulder blades are flush up against the wall, and you're going to have your arms up like so. And what you're going to do is you're going to point your elbows down and bring them down. And at the same time, what's happening is your shoulder blades are moving back and down. And we're strengthening those muscles to keep your shoulders back and your chest broad. Go as far as you can, and then slowly back up. A variation of this is called a Y to W, which is where you start out like so, and just doing the same thing with your elbows. Okay, now we're going to look at stretching the tight structures of our body. So these were particularly our chest or pec muscles, as well as the back of the neck and shoulders. So first of all, with our chest, using a wall or a door frame, what you're going to do is you're going to place your arm like so against the wall, step forward with the foot closest to the wall, lean forward and then turn away. And you should start to feel a stretch through this muscle here. If you have any shoulder issues and you can't get into that shoulder position, another way of doing it is to place your hand lower and arm straight, and still the same thing, leaning forward, turning away. For these stretches, we want to hold for at least 30 seconds, 1 to 2 times each side. Okay, and then obviously you would then turn around and do the other side. Another stretch for the neck tightness is an upper trap stretch, which you can do seated or standing. What I like to do is put one arm around my back like so to try and keep this shoulder down, and we're going to stretch this side. So to do so, you're going to look straight ahead, keep that chin tucked in, and you're going to lean to one side, trying to bring your ear in the direction of your shoulder. So not the other way. You don't want to be bringing your shoulder up to your ear. You're bringing your ear down to your shoulder. And you should start to feel a stretch through here, which is your upper traps. Again, this stretch you're holding for 30 seconds, 1 to 2 times each side. Okay, now we're going to move on to some exercises for the thoracic or mid spine. So what we tend to see is typically what everyone would describe as a hunchback, where our thoracic spine has been accentuated, so like so. And obviously with this postural change can come with some pain. So it's all about trying to, again, obtain nice lengthened spine and that natural curve in that mid-back. So the first exercise we're going to do is against the wall, and I call it rotations or external rotations. So basically you're up against the wall, assuming all of that correct posture thinking from bottom to top, and then with our arms we're going to bring them out. And this will generally help to broaden your chest and lengthen through that mid-back. Holding for about 3 to 5 seconds and then relaxing. Again, generally we go for about 10 reps, holding for 3 to 5 seconds. And as you get better at this, you want to increase your endurance by increasing the duration of the hold. Now we're going to head to the floor and do some other stretches for our thoracic spine. The next exercise to stretch your thoracic spine is called the cobra. Now you can do this one standing against the wall or lying on your bed or on the floor. So I'm going to show you the floor one, and what you're going to be doing is lying on your tummy, like so, having your hands up here near your chest. And what you're going to do is relaxing your lower body. You're going to push up through your arms so that your chest is pointing forward and your chin is tucked in and your head is up. You want to make sure that your shoulders aren't up like so, and keep them nice and relaxed down and back. Now if this stretch is too intense for you in your lower back, you can always drop back to your forearms. Holding this stretch for about 20 to 30 seconds, have a bit of a rest, lying down like so, and then coming back up for another 20 to 30 seconds. Another way of stretching or assuming thoracic extension is an exercise lying on your back and using a really thick towel. So you really want something like a beach towel or a pillow, a big round pillow, something that's fat and a little bit firm. So what we're going to do is we're going to place the towel or whatever you're using, like so, and you want it to be on your thoracic spine, so the part that kind of juts out a little bit, so not the small of your back and not your neck, but between your shoulder blades. So I'm going to position myself like so, and then you're just going to, if you can pop your hands here just to lower your neck down as far as you can go. Now obviously everyone's got different flexibilities in their thoracic spine, so you might find this either too intense or maybe not enough. So try and build it up using a foam roller, or if it's too intense, a pool noodle. And then you want to rest your arms down and just breathe through the motion lay here for as long as you can tolerate. And then we're going to come back up, so you can pop your hands back up, come back up. You can shuffle down a little bit and then do the same thing in just a different part of your thoracic spine. Okay, so that is the end of this video on overall body posture, upper body exercises and some stretches for your thoracic spine. If you do have any questions or would like some individual advice, please contact the clinic on 36242185. And also please stay tuned, click on the next video, and that's going to be exploring some strengthening and stretching exercises for our lower body posture. Thanks. We're going to be focusing on our lower body posture in relation to the lower crossed syndrome. So just a recap of that, there are two common postural abnormalities that we see, and it's all to do with our pelvic position. So the first one is called anterior pelvic tilt, which is where our pelvis is tilted forward. So that bucket, as our pelvis is tipping forward and tipping water out in front of us. And in this posture, our hip flexors through here and our lower back extensors through here are really tight and short, whilst our abdominals and our glutes are weak. The other lower cross syndrome is the other way, which is called posterior pelvic tilt. And that's where our pelvis is being tilted back, so that bucket is tipping water out behind us. And the muscles are working opposite. So the tight muscles of anterior pelvic tilt are now weak, whereas vice versa, the weak muscles of our anterior pelvic tilt are now tight. Alright, so the first exercise we're going to be doing for our lower body is some pelvic tilts. So you can either do these standing, seated or lying, and I'm going to show you standing first against the wall. So basically you want your feet a little bit away from the wall so that your bottom is in contact. And even though we are doing a lower body exercise, always focus on your overall body posture, because this is just a good habit to get into. So make sure you've got those shoulders down and back and your chin tucked in. So with our pelvic tilts, what we're going to do is we're going to tilt that bucket forward and then slowly back, and trying to find those end points for you. So first of all, I'm going to pop my hands here so that you can see my hips. But you can have your hands on your hips. You're going to tilt forward. So what's going to happen is the small of your back is going to become more obvious, and then tilting back, so you're flattening your back, and then forward again, and flattening your back. Now usually you want to try and do this 5 each way, and it's not a race, it's really about improving that pelvic mobility, because with that lower cross syndrome, those muscles are not in balance, so they're going to be tight and weak. We need to mobilize your pelvis before strengthening it. So as I said, we're going to keep doing that 5 times each way, have a little rest, and then repeat. Let's now head to the floor, where I'm going to show you a variation where you're lying down. Alright, what we're going to do now is head to the floor or your bed to do the remaining exercises to strengthen and stretch the structures around our lower body. So what we're trying to really do is to stretch out the tight structures around our pelvis, and then we'll strengthen the weaker structures. So typically what we see when we have anterior pelvic tilt are some tight hip flexors. So we're going to stretch those out now. So what you want to do is you want to come onto your mat. You're going to bring one foot up like so. And then what you're wanting to do is you're going to lean slightly forward. And for a greater stretch, you want to try and get into that posterior pelvic tilt. Tilt that bucket back. So tilting like so. And you should start to feel a stretch through here and then also down your quad, down the front of your thigh. Again, with all of our stretches, we want to hold this for about 20 to 30 seconds and then switch to the other side. So that's a hip flexor stretch. Another stretch we're going to do is very similar to the pelvic tilts that we did standing up, and it's called a cat-cow, and this is where we're going to be on all fours. So what you want to do is you want to stack your shoulders above your wrists and your knees above your hips, and we're going to do a cat-cow. So first of all, we want to assume an angry cat pose, which is where they hunch their back like so. And this is where we're posteriorly tilting our pelvis. So tucking that tailbone underneath, stretching out. And then slowly from here, we're going to go into a Jersey cow position where you're going to anteriorly tilt our pelvis, drop our back, bring our head up and pointing forward. Similar to the pelvic tilts we did, we want to try and do this nice and slow for about 5 each way. Now I'm going to show you one more variation of pelvic tilts, and that's where we're lying on our back. So what we're going to do is assume our crook lying position, which is where we're flat on our back, our feet are up, and flat on the floor. So with this one, I'm going to place my hands here so you can see my hips, but you can have your hands down by your side like so, or on our hips to just feel the movement. So again, imagine you are on the wall and you're going to tilt your bucket forward. And what you're doing, what you'll feel is you're going to push your bottom into the floor, and that arch of your back is going to come off the floor. And then going the other way, we're going to flatten our back, tuck our tailbone up towards the ceiling. Again, we're going to nice and slowly tilt from one extreme to the other 5 times each. Okay, so now that we've stretched our hip flexors and also our lower body, lower back extensors, which are typically tight when we have that anterior pelvic tilt, now we're going to strengthen the weak structures. So first of all, our glutes. So this is kind of an addition to or an extension of the pelvic tilts that we just went through, and incorporating a bridge into it. So same position, what we want to do is do a few tilts and find the midway point between them, and that's our neutral pelvis. So that's where we've got a little gap in between our lower back and the floor, but not too much. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back into posterior tilt, like that, and peeling one vertebrae off at a time, we're going to lift our hips up, squeezing our glutes till we're up, holding there for a few seconds, and then coming down, we're going to do the opposite, concertina down, putting one vertebrae on at a time. Now, this is a very tricky one, so it can take some time to master. it's all about control. And then once you get to the bottom, go back to your neutral pelvis. So we want to try and do 5 to 10 of those in a row. If you find that a little bit too difficult, you can always just keep that neutral pelvis and do your bridges. So really focusing on squeezing your glutes to strengthen them up. Like so. The other structure that we'd like to strengthen with the lower cross syndrome is your abdominals, particularly your core, which is your deepest abdominal muscle. And one exercise, there are many exercises to strengthen your core, is the classic tabletop with leg lowers. So we're in this position, have your arms down by your sides, and you're going to assume the tabletop position, which is where your hips and knees are at 90 degrees. Now this in itself is an exercise. You want to make sure that you're not arching off the mat like so, and you don't want to be bringing your tailbone up like so. You want to try and keep that neutral pelvis position. Remember to pull that belly button in. And if you want a greater challenge with this one, we're going to do some leg lowers. So you're going to extend out, tap, and then back up. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that your pelvis remains in the same position. If you're finding that you're feeling this in your lower back, take a step back and just keep doing your tabletop. I'm going to try and aim to build this one up to 10 leg lowers each side. And then once you're finished, you're just going to lower down and have a little rest. Good job. All right, nice work. You made it through the lower body postural video. Please let me know if you have any questions, and if you'd like some one-on-one advice, please contact the clinic on 36242185. Thanks, and keep exercising. Bye.